this is Simon's Whispers. Hope you're all well. I'm enjoying the cold weather. We've had quite a lot of snow here this week. It started on Thursday, I think. Just what looked like it would probably be just a small amount of snow. And then we got a severe weather warning. And all of the news stations sensationalised it, and they said that it was going to be a huge heavy snow flurry, and said for people to stay indoors and not to make any sort of non-essential journeys. And so of course Friday morning comes and I'm leaving for work. I've got the radio on, hoping that there's going to be a closure and that I'll hear about it. But no closures announced, so I go into work as normal. And we're all gathered in the office and we look out and it's snowing really heavily. And it wasn't very heavy when I left, really early in the morning when it was still dark, where it was still very light snow, but it got heavier and heavier as the day got on. And then at around about say 10 o'clock or something around there, the snow was so heavy that it was just white out outside. You couldn't see very far. The trees in the distance, we have a really nice view. The trees in the distance, you couldn't see them. So it wasn't quite a blizzard or anything like that, but it was just heavy snow. A lot of the small roads near where I work, they don't get sort of ploughed or even gritted. The car park, that hadn't been cleared or gritted either, so it was treacherous just walking to my car. And so they decided, after numerous emails to the boss from various staff, that it was best to close and send everybody home. So I left work at 11:45 a.m. and started to drive home as my car was sliding a little bit. For those of you that saw the picture of my car that I put on a video last week, so I've got a really small car, which is pretty useful in these sorts of conditions. So it didn't skid too much. I had one moment where I put the brakes on, not particularly hard or anything like that. It was gentle, and my car slid sideways a tiny bit. That was on the side road that hadn't been cleared. It was fresh snow. So I guess that's to be expected. So I turned out onto the main road, and usually there's some traffic on that road, and the traffic just wasn't moving at all. I was sat in traffic that was nose to tail all the way home. sensibly. And that was actually really good to see, because I was a bit worried about people, skidding into me and writing off my car or something. And I'd heard stories of people abandoning their cars on the street and just walking. I mean, walking would have been a lot faster to get home, albeit it would have been a very long way. Normally it takes about between half an hour and 45 minutes to drive home. It took me 3 hours, 45 minutes to get home. It was unbelievable. The traffic it's down a main road, really, one very, very long main road, all the way into work. But this main road isn't one where it's sort of an uninterrupted route. It has other main roads that cross that road, so you have to turn left onto another main road and then turn right to get back onto yours. And those roads are much busier because they're in and out of the city, the main city centre, whereas my road that I wanted to get onto, or rather was on already, wanted to get home on, had to go through that road, had to cross that road basically at a junction, and there are a few junctions like that, and a couple of big islands as well, which again, they're roads that lead to and from the city centre. And of course, it's a large city. Millions of people in this city. The motorway was closed. So that meant even more pressure was put onto these A roads, as the motorway would have taken people, more or less directly where they wanted to go. So it took an awful long time to get back. People weren't willing to inch out and take their spot in the traffic, turning left onto the main roads. They were simply waiting at traffic lights for a huge gap to materialise, which of course it was traffic on the other side too, and that gap very rarely did materialise, and people were too scared to just inch out, because they're in normal sort of family cars, front wheel drive family cars, and they were sliding and slipping, and the roads were far from safe. Every single car pretty much that was in front of me, I saw at least at one point go sideways. It just wasn't safe. So anyway, 3 hours 45 minutes, and I got back dying for the toilet. Oh my goodness. When I left work, I should have gone to the toilet, I think. An hour into my journey home, I was bursting. So it was a really inopportune moment to need the bathroom, and of course there wasn't one. Perhaps I could have pulled over and gone into a pub or something like that, but along my route there are a couple of pubs, but I'm not really familiar with the area, and I was just focused on getting home safely instead of trying to turn round or get in and out of anywhere else. It was bad enough as it was. So roads are clear. The roads are fine now. I went for a drive yesterday afternoon, and the roads were fine, a bit slushy, but fine. The path is still covered in snow and slush, and I'm sure there's a bit of ice around as well. But the road seemed fine, everyone was driving as usual, normal speed, so that was fine. I'm really hoping that we have a snow day tomorrow, if we get heavy snow tonight, so that we don't have to go in tomorrow. I'm hoping that they'll have learned from their mistake on Friday and won't risk allowing everybody in tomorrow. So, of course, there's another weather warning out tonight. On my phone I've got the Met Office app. For anyone that doesn't know what the Met Office is, in Britain we've got a body that looks after meteorological news, as it were. These meteorologists are the ones that give the information to people like the BBC or any other news network that provides the news on TV or radio. So it's usually the Met Office that does that. Now, I've got that app, and it does say that there's a severe weather warning, and a breakdown of what the weather's doing. It says at the moment light snow, which is true. It is snowing lightly, and it's been snowing lightly all day, and a little bit last night too. It does say, however, that the snow is, I hope I said light snow, not light rain. I do mean snow, by the way. The light snow is actually going to turn into heavy snow, it says, by 3 p.m. So I've got about 2 hours to find out whether that's true. But so far, it's been really accurate. Within about half an hour, 45 minutes of the times it says that the weather is arriving, it generally has been, which is really good. That's really impressive. With the weather reports, usually they're not normally that accurate. So it's actually quite nice knowing what's coming. But we'll see tomorrow whether we get that call in the morning to say that we don't have to go in, which would be great. So, those of you that remember me talking about my new car, when I replaced the dinosaur, I bought it from Ford, the main Ford dealership in the city centre, and I've had some, I've not had issues with the car. I would say the car has some issues that I'm not really happy with. I make it sound like the car's got some sort of psychosis, some sort of psychological affliction. But yeah, the radio sounds so old-fashioned. The stereo, the CD player. The previous owner of the car, because this car's 3 years old, the previous owner, I think, has tried to clean the buttons of the stereo before trading it in, I guess, and has used something which has damaged forward or back on, search on the CD buttons or whatever, and that has been kind of smudged off a bit with whatever this stuff is that the person's used. So I said to Ford before buying the car that I wanted that dealt with before I'd buy it, and I was told that it would be sorted. When I picked the car up, they said that they hadn't got the chance to do it yet, but that they would contact me and get it arranged to have somebody come and do it for me, who would probably come out to me as well to get it done. I didn't get a phone call at all, so I contacted Ford and complained, as I got no phone call, and really they had gone back on an agreement that I'd made with them, that they had agreed to get that done before I'd picked up the vehicle. So, the initial agreement was that they would actually swap the stereo and put a new one in. But the person that sold me the car said that he couldn't get that agreed by his manager. So it was a case of getting the person that fixes the fascias to just sort it out, and it'd be as good as new, which is why they said instead of replacing it, this was a better idea, because you wouldn't know the difference once he sorted it. I also noticed a scratch on the bodywork, which they've said that they're going to sort out for free as well. But there are a few other small issues as well that I want sorted out. So I'm a little bit angry at Ford at the moment for that. They're a company that's, they claim to be built on trust, but it feels like it's perhaps built on false promises and misleading customers slightly. And I honestly believe that they wanted me to just pick the car up and take it home and not bother to bring it back. And I really feel that that's what they were counting on. Me actually not bothering because they couldn't be bothered. And I think that's really sad that they deal with customers in that way, because I'd heard very good things about them, or rather about Ford, other Ford dealerships, one in particular, which is actually nearer to where I live than this other one that I went to. I've heard really good things about that one, so it seems very unusual that this would happen, but perhaps, having not gone to this one before, perhaps that is the norm there. So, but they've been really apologetic when I called and said that I was going to take the car back because I was really angry, and that I felt misled, and they apologised, or rather, a seemingly very nice man called Paul apologised, and said that they would sort it all out for me. As I say, there are a couple of other little things as well, but I'm hoping that it all gets sorted. They've said now that they're going to take the car in on Wednesday, and I'll get a courtesy car for 24 hours or 48 hours, depending how long it takes them to do the work. But I believe it's highly likely that if the weather continues in this way, then I might end up having to wait a this time next week that everything's sorted and that I'm really happy. So I really hope that that's true. So anyway, this video's been 22 and a half minutes now, and I think it's going to take a long time to upload. Well, first I've got to convert it anyway, since it's on my iPhone, so I need to convert it first. So it's going to take a little while. So I'm going to leave it here. So please be careful if you're out in the snow and the ice. Be safe. Don't make any unnecessary journeys. It's very easy for me to say that, considering that I in fact went out unnecessarily for a meal yesterday. But the snow and the ice had subsided by then, and it was actually mainly just water on the roads. But if it's snowing by you, or if there's ice on the surface, or black ice especially, be careful. Don't make unnecessary journeys, and be safe. I'll speak to you soon.